All right, guys, welcome back to week 2 of the Gambling Show. I'm here with Yanni. How's it going, man?
Good, buddy. Good. Better for
Uh,
you, but I'm doing all right.
well, I guess let's just get right into it then, and we're gonna flash up the results from our picks last week and just kind of talk about like how the games went, what we thought of it, what we got right, what we got wrong, etc. So I'll go first. I had the Bucks -1.5 against the Falcons. That covered. It was actually a pretty close game. I was surprised by a couple of things. One of which was I thought the Falcons defense played pretty well. They did a much better job than I thought they would have. And number two, I thought that the Bucks looked a little weird on offense. I thought that Mike Evans would be a little bit more ready. I thought Baker struggled. He probably had two or three near misses that could have been picks. This game went back and forth. The Bucks kicker missed a field goal, missed an extra point. The Falcons got the ball back with like a minute 20 left. Michael Penix does the work, drives the Falcons down the field, sets up Young Ho Koo for a 46-yarder to tie the game, and Koo went wide right. So I think I had the right side there. The result came home. It didn't feel great though, so I'm going to be taking those lessons into account the next time. Lions money line. This was a consensus pick of mine and Yanni's. We missed it. I'll save that one for him because I really want to talk about the Ravens one. The Rams -3. That one came home. I actually thought this was really good process. One of the main reasons I picked this game is I was just kind of out on this iteration of the Texans offense, and they scored 9 points. Did not get in the painted area. CJ looks like he's in trouble behind that offensive line. Nico Collins wasn't able to put the entire team on his back. Rams, even with the poor offensive showing and Puka going in the blue tent 3 times, are still able to cover that there. The Ravens -1.5. This was one that I called my favorite pick of the week and a ball knower quiz. And quite frankly, I don't usually want to come on this show and like tell you that our picks were right and the result was wrong, and like make excuses. But I'm gonna right side this one. I think we had the right side here. The vast majority of the game, the Ravens absolutely worked the Bills. They ran the ball down their throat. Derrick Henry almost had 200 yards. Lamar Jackson was moving the balls. Zay Flowers looked great. Really, this was a what was like the difference in the game, Yanni? Was it like 17 points, like with 6 minutes left to go in the game?
hmm
Something like that, right? And one of
hmm
the things that we said is when you bet against Josh Allen, you run the risk of getting Josh Allen. And we saw one of the most incredible comebacks we've ever seen. Derrick Henry fumbles the ball into the Ravens defense, not being able to stop a blazing hot Josh. It is what it is. That's a process bet for me though. I'm gonna like if they were playing again this week and the spread was the same, I'm gonna rip that same bet every single time. You just that's the fun of gambling. Sometimes you get got on stuff. That's why it's not ever free. Then the Vikings -1.5. This one, I was far more confident in the Vikings before I saw the game. 3 quarters of that game looked horrendous. I was like, oh well, okay, this is obviously an L. I JJ isn't ready. I took the entirely wrong side. But in the fourth quarter, JJ kind of I think showed at least a glimpse of why the Vikings decided to move Sam Darnold. He got it together. That being said, though, I do need to, in my opinion, I'm going to be treating JJ as more of like a work in progress, right? I'm going to be more patient with him and not get as aggressive on this Vikings team until I see more development from the quarterback. But after the dust settled, we hit the parlay, 3 and 2 week, $147.94 in the green. This is my first year on week one. I've started out with a positive record and making money. So just do this 17 more times. It won't be looking good.
Yeah, this is the first time that I've started out massively in the hole, which I am. A lot of red on my side. Okay, Cardinals -6.5. This game was actually closer than I thought. I thought the Saints looked pretty good under Kellen Moore. Looked pretty good for what we were expecting, right? He ran a ton of plays. He got the ball to people in people's hands a lot, and actually, like it was pretty close to being a backdoor cover by the Saints if they didn't blow it in the fourth quarter. I felt really good about the bet, but like I could have very easily been wrong. I could have very easily gone 0-5 this week. Um, Bengals minus 5.5. It's just sort of a tendency of mine. Even though I really do love a good sports story, like I tend to fade narratives. I tend to fade narratives over like X's and O's or Jimmy and Joe's, whoever's on the field, you know. I felt like with the Bengals and the Browns, this was one of those. I faded the home underdog. I faded the narrative about the Bengals early in the season, and so maybe that's something I need to do more seriously is just stay away from things like that when it makes no sense to me why the Bengals couldn't cover at least a 6 point spread. But the reason that it should have made sense was if you bought into the narratives going into that game, and I should have. Broncos minus 8.5. I have no regrets about taking this game. The Broncos looked horrible. Almost everything went wrong for them. The Titans looked better than we thought. And if Sean Payton kicks a 53-yard field goal instead of inexplicably throwing a 40-yard Hail Mary, I don't I cannot for the life of me understand what went into that. It was so bizarre that there were people making little 90-second clips on Twitter talking about how the NFL is rigged in favor of Vegas because it happened. I've never seen it in the entire history, the entire 30 years of watching NFL for me. I've never seen that happen. I don't know why you wouldn't try to go up two scores on a 53-yard field goal with I think it was under 2 minutes when he did it. Um, Bizarre. But I took the L there. Look, I'll hold that L, man. I have no regrets about that bet. And, the same thing with the Ravens before I hit the Lions. Ted will cover that. I have no regrets about that. Like you said, if they played tomorrow, I would make the exact same bet again. The Lions won. I think I do have some regrets. I think I didn't take seriously how good the Packers actually might be this year. I think I didn't take seriously. Well, I did mention it, but I don't think I took it seriously enough what it means to lose two coordinators. Jared Goff tends to play really poorly when he goes to Green Bay, and now the Packers have gone and embarrassed the Redskins as well. Dude, through 6 quarters against both of those teams, two teams that were championship contenders by the end of last season, like they did not allow a touchdown. They allowed 2 garbage time touchdowns to Jaden, 1 garbage time touchdown to Goff, but that is it through 2 games. It's extremely impressive. I will be taking Green Bay very seriously going forward. Like Jahmyr Gibbs got 19 touches, 10 targets in that game, and it amounted to 10 half PPR fantasy points. Just an absolute shellacking. Um, yeah, that's what I learned from there. I'm now down over 3 units. I'm behind Ted by 4.5 units almost, and I'm behind Ted by 2 wins. And Ted hit a parlay, so high stakes coming in the year.
All right, so let's get into the picks for week two. I have the Cowboys minus 4.5, the Patriots plus 2.5. Then I'm going to parlay the Bengals minus 3.5, the Broncos minus 2.5, and the Chargers minus 3. I got a taste of hitting a parlay, a two-legger, and now I'm getting greedy and going for a three-legger. So if the three-leg parlay hits, that returns $693.14. If the two single games hit, that returns $370.29. On a 5-0 week, it returns $1,063.43. And the ticket cost this week is only $300 because we have the two single games for $100 each, and then the $100 three-leg parlay.
Okay, I'm coming in with 3 single bets and a parlay, a two-leg parlay. The first two singles are going to be the Cowboys minus 4.5 against the Giants, the Broncos minus 2.5 going on the road to the Colts, the Eagles minus 1.5 going on the road to the Chiefs, and then I'm also parlaying that with the Chiefs under 46.5. That's my parlay. Eagles minus 1.5 with the under on that game, and then I'm also taking the Chargers at -3 away at the Raiders. Total parlay return 376, total other return 564 for a total potential profit of just over 940 this week, staking $400 with the two-leg parlay. We'll see, man. We'll see. Going to turn around that 1-4 record, hopefully.
Well, 5-0 week gets you over 500 in the green, so we'll just go for that,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, man. What did I think? I had 1 or 2 of those last year. At least one.
I think so. Well, no. We've only had in 3 years of the show's history, we've had one 5-0 week ever, and that was the Burger King Crown
Oh,
episode.
I thought I had one. I'm almost positive.
No.
You asked me if I was going to wear the crown. Maybe it was that you said you almost got to wear the crown. I think I had a couple of 4-1s. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, we
I'm,
both had
I'm
a couple
doing.
4-1s. 5-0 is very difficult though. Like, so we
Yeah,
have like what is that? 17 times 3, like,
yeah,
or I guess maybe it's less than that. So maybe like 35, 40 shows of doing this, picking 5 games
yeah,
apiece. We've seen one out of
yeah.
both of us doing
I'm,
it.
do, I'm doing the fisherman thing. I'm just adding fish and size of fish that did not happen. Fair enough.
All right, first one. This is me. I'm taking the New England Patriots plus 2.5 going to the Miami Dolphins. 40% of total bets against the spread are on the Patriots, and 51% of total dollars against the spread are on the Patriots here. Technically speaking, right, like more of the money is on the Patriots, so it's not like a fade the public situation. But I am shocked at these numbers. I'm shocked at how many people are taking the Dolphins here. Right now, just in for reference, our offensive and defensive ranks are only a 1 week sample size, but because of last week, the Patriots are ranked 11th in offensive yards allowed and 26th in defensive yards allowed. And for the Dolphins, they are the last ranked offense, not surprising, giving that showing last week against the Colts. And defensively, they're 29th. So not a great first week. And I think, I mean, let's start with there, right? Like, this is there's a couple things going on here, right? The Patriots, they were 2.5 point favorites last week against the Raiders, did not cover that. And I'm of the opinion that a lot of people were too high on this Patriots team coming into the year. Their expectations were like unrealistically high, in my opinion. And then when you lose outright to the Raiders, who have traditionally been terrible, that a lot of people like kind of freak out and overreact a little bit. So I feel like this line is overreacting to the Patriots, what we saw from them in week one, and it's totally underreacting, in my opinion, to what we saw from the Dolphins week one. That was one of the worst week one showings I think I've ever seen from a football team. It's up there to me with the Panthers last year, week one. Tua looks completely, absolutely cooked to me. Their defense looks good right now. Like, I'm not kidding. I don't see any redeeming qualities of this football team other than like you have talented guys, but if the quarterback can't get them the ball, like what does it matter? Like how much you're paying people. So yeah, I guess that's really all this bet is. I feel like it's a nice buy low opportunity that Patriots being underdogs in any way, shape, or form absolutely floors me. I would assume it's because Vegas is still giving respect to like I guess the history of Mike McDaniel, Tua, and the Dolphins, what they've been since that quarterback head coach combo has been a thing. But I think the tides are changing. I think that ship has already left the station, and the Dolphins are just completely done. This one feels like a slam dunk to me. What do you think, Yanni?
It does not feel like a slam dunk to me. I would rather, this was like probably one of the 4 or 5 games that I would least like to bet on the slate. And not because anything you said is wrong. I just don't like, I told you, I brought it up multiple times when we were talking over the games. Vegas does have the Dolphins projected as the 13th most prolific offense this week. Does that come home? I don't know. Are the Dolphins actually that bad? Like, do we actually think the Dolphins are going to contend for the number one overall pick this year? If you do, yeah, it's a good bet. Um, I think you also made a good point about people overreacting to the Patriots a little bit. I maybe thought they were a 7 to 8 win team coming into the year. I thought like if things went crazy well, they might go 9-8. So like if I thought their ceiling was 9-8, am I shocked that they lost to the Raiders, who I also actually thought were a pretty underrated team coming into the year? No, not really. So I wouldn't say like I'm of that persuasion. I also don't like that you're not getting the hook here, right? On the plus 3.5. Would have been more interested in a plus 3.5. I don't know. To me, it's a weird bet, dude. You're betting you're betting on a divisional road dog with a team that did not look anything close to what we would have expected them to look like offensively. And then with the Patriots, they have their own set of unknowns. I thought they passed the ball pretty well. I mean, they were 11th in yards in the rain against a Pete Carroll defense. Like, I think that's pretty good. Um, yeah, so I don't know. To me, it's just a stay away because it's a bizarre game. I could not tell you what the Dolphins are at this point. I'm leaning towards very bearish. I'm just not there yet.
Yeah, I think that when you mentioned me having the wrong side of a hook, I think that is a good talking point here. We always tell you on the show if you like an underdog straight up, just take them on the money line. To me, I just had a weird feeling about this one, right? Like because the Patriots are, in my opinion, in no way, shape, or form should be underdogs. I think they should absolutely be the favorites in this contest. Like I thought, okay, like do I really need to take the extra dollars and juice this one, or would you like the extra 2 points of cushion, right? I figured, hey, like if I'm already really pretty positive about what this is going to be, like let's just take the points on this one. I really can't give you guys great reasoning other than I just had like a fishy feeling about it. Like I felt like I was hedging almost, right? Like it's almost like if you go to the blackjack table in the, you can buy insurance, right? If the dealer has an ace up, like that's exactly kind of what I did. That's why I did it. Usually I would advise against it, but sometimes you got to go with your gut. And then for the Dolphins, I guess to kind of respond to that, right? Like, let's say best case scenario, and I think this is like super wishful cope thinking, like if you're gonna go here, right? But let's say the Dolphins like aren't completely toast. Tua like has a good game, right? Tyreek has a good game. The Dolphins have success offensively against the Patriots, missing Christian Gonzalez. Let's say that happens. Even if that happens, I feel like the Patriots still might win this game because the Dolphins defense is so bad. This is one of the lowest graded secondaries there's ever been. It's like one of their secondary is so bad to me. Feels like a Drake May explosion spot. Like, yeah, like you said, like he threw for over 300 yards against the Raiders last week. I get he missed a couple throws. I think it put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, right? But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, we got to remember that Drake May didn't even get a full season last year. I think he came in like week 4 or something. So kid's still young. I think he's going to develop. I really like the kid. I
yeah.
think he looks good. I think he's going to be the franchise quarterback for the Patriots going forward. But that's why they play the games, right? We'll see. Still, again, no hate towards the Dolphins, Tua and McDaniel. I just got to call him like I see him, and I'm calling
Yeah.
him cooked. 10 toes down on that.
Okay, we're riding together on this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll do it because you just went. Giants at the Cowboys. Cowboys minus 4.5. I should have corrected the Giants spread. It's 4.5. There was actually the line had moved from when I got these in this morning to when I was doing the slides. The line had actually moved by a point. But the Cowboys minus 4.5 at home. So the Cowboys are getting 52% of the total bets, but a massive whale lean here with 84% of every dollar bet going on the Cowboys. So while the numerical bets are split, like the smart money does not agree. I was actually pretty surprised about the start of the Cowboys shoddy era. I thought they looked pretty good, man. I know Jalen Carter got ejected, and that no doubt helped, but they did look buttoned up to me. On defense, they looked pretty good. I actually thought the Cowboys looked like a buttoned up operation. It was way better than I was expecting going into the week. Jalen Carter ejection aside, they did manage to cover the spread against the Eagles on the road, which was pretty impressive. The Giants did not cover. After 1 week, we see the Giants ranked as the 28th offense and 31st defense. We see the Cowboys ranked as the 18th offense, 14th defense. When you consider that the Cowboys took on the Eagles at home, again, that to me is very impressive. We'll see how they look. We'll see if they're able to run the ball. The Giants have a very good D line. But I'm pretty comfortably taking the Cowboys minus 4.5. Dude, that passing game to me looks on point. Dak looks healthy. He doesn't just look healthy. I don't know. Did you notice, Ted, like his physique when he was out there? He's ripped up, dude. He looks like he's maybe 5 or 10 pounds leaner, maybe 5% lower on the BMI. Like he looked really, really good to me. And if CeeDee Lamb can hang on to the ball, I think they take that game off the Eagles at home. I do not think this Giants secondary is going to be able to hold up at all against Pickens, Lamb, and Ferguson. Maybe they stop the run, maybe, but the Giants D line was supposed to be the engine of their team. Their D line did not look very good week 1. Um, we saw what the Skins rushing attack looked like in Green Bay. I don't think that's a good rushing attack, and they were pushing them around pretty well up front. I see multiple paths to victory for the Cowboys. I think the Giants are going to struggle against that defense. I think Eberflus does in fact kind of know what he's doing here. Um, yeah, I feel comfortable about this bet. I see almost no risk in it. The only does Russell Wilson, there's like a question of does he even finish the game? I don't, maybe this falls apart if Russell Wilson leaves in the second half and Dart comes out electric, but yeah, I just don't see it. That's why me and Ted are riding together on it. I'm very, very comfy with this one.
Yeah, I think that one of my main takeaways from this and why I was so willing to put this in my 5 this week is I think that Las Vegas bookmakers, we've been pinging on this for the past like 2 years. I think that they're having trouble giving a number that makes sense when you have a terrible quarterback, right? One of our favorite things to do, like we've this has been a process bet for us for 2 years, is like just picking against the spread against bad quarterbacks, right? Like Bryce Young was one we targeted. Last week Yanni targeted Spencer Rattler. Like this is almost becoming like a process bet for me. And I get minus 4.5. It's not the greatest number, right? You're on the wrong side of 3, but for me, this isn't even close. I'm super willing to rip the Cowboys here, and I, at least from my takeaway from Dallas, like week one, is that they won't be a dumpster fire, right? Like I thought that this thing might just go super south really quickly, but I don't know, man. They put up a good enough showing against the Eagles, so like I trust them. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. I don't think they're going to be a great football team or anything, but I think they're going to be like a respectable NFL franchise at this point. And until the Giants, I think, change their quarterback situation, they're not even close to that for me. So Cowboys minus 4.5 all day here.
So just real quick, that's exactly right. Here's what it is. I don't trust them against good teams, but I will take them to tee off on bad teams all year. When you see all year, if they're getting less than 7 against a bad team, I'm probably just going to bet them to beat up on them.
Like, let me put it like this: if you told me the Giants were only 4.5 point dogs, against every single team in the NFL, right? You gave me the same, like, okay, like give the Giants 4.5 points against these teams. Would you take the Giants or the other team, right? The only situation I think the Giants like would cover would be like, at least right now, the Russell Wilson variant of this Giants team. Like I'd
Yeah.
probably take him over the Saints. I'd probably take him over the Panthers right now. I'd probably take him over like the Titans. And we're already running out of teams here, though. It's like a handful of teams that at a number this short, I would even feel comfortable rolling the Giants, man. I think they might be like, if not the worst team, like the second or third worst team until they change something here. I think this is free tendies, like easy.
Yeah.
All right, next one is going to be me, and it's my turn to be hurt by the Cincinnati Bengals this week. I'm taking the Bengals minus 3.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. When I saw these numbers, I didn't look at them before I gave I put in my picks, and this is one of the most shocking like tickets and bet or I guess dollars bet spreads I've seen. 55% of bettors right now are taking the Jaguars against the spread, and 85% of the total dollars are taking the Jaguars against the spread. So that means the public is prefers this Jaguar side getting 3.5 points, and even more so, the whales are like making this a big call. Hey, we're taking the Jaguars here. So another fade the public position for me, but I did pretty well on those last week. I'm fine doing that. The Jaguars did cover last week, so by default, their season record against the spread is 1-0. And then again, I would like to reiterate these offensive and defensive rankings are from specifically last week. So because the Jaguars played the Panthers last week, they're ranked eighth in offense and seventh in defensive yards allowed. So top 10 on both units. We'll see if they finish the year that way. Spoiler alert, they fucking won't. Um, then for the Bengals, right now they're 31st in offensive ranking. Tough one out there against the Browns last Sunday. If you had Bengals guys on your fantasy team, I'm sorry. I'm in the same boat as you. It's going to get better. And their defensive ranking is 20th. So to me, I feel like this is another good buy low opportunity. And I know that I'm taking a favorite when I say buy low on the wrong side of the hook here. But man, to me, the Jaguars, I feel like they have like some things about their team that are good, right? Travis Etienne looked like he's hopefully coming back to form here as the starting running back for the Jaguars. I think he's the league leader, and no, he's second behind Derrick Henry in total rushing yards this year. But I think that a lot of the Jaguars' success last week was taking advantage of a Panthers team that where Bryce Young played terribly. And there's just like, when a quarterback plays that bad, sometimes you'll win those games. Trevor still looked like he was missing a lot of throws to me. I don't know what his deal is, man. We want to be patient with young quarterbacks, right? I think that's important to take into account. But Trevor's had a lot of opportunity, man, and he just hasn't really ever turned the corner. I don't know if he ever will at this point. And I feel like the buy low opportunity here is on this Bengals side, who got, by all accounts, they probably should have lost that game to the Browns. I think the Browns kicker missed like a field goal and an extra point or something. The Browns had the Bengals on the ropes, but I feel like honestly, man, like it's just the AFC North can get weird and tight sometimes. And the Browns have a strong defensive line, and they were able to sack and mess up Joe Burrow before he could get rid of the football. So to me, it's just like I think this Jaguars defense, even though they're technically ranked seventh right now, I think they just took advantage of like Bryce Young not being ready to go. And I don't know how you're going to cover these Bengals guys, right? Reports are that Travis Hunter is going to be playing more defensive snaps this week. I like the Bengals odds here. If they try and put Travis Hunter out there on Jamar Chase, that it seems like a bit of a mismatch to me. I think this is going to be like a week where the Bengals might hang 40 on these guys. I don't like the Bengals defense, right? So I think that like the Jaguars could put up some points here. I think that like in terms of fantasy, right, I'd be starting my Jaguars, but I don't think they're going to be able to keep pace with this level of offense that the Bengals are rolling out there. The team has its holes, but I think that they can cover a number like 3.5 against what I view as still one of the bottom feeders of the league. What do you think, Yanni? I feel like you've taken the Bengals like 12 straight weeks on this program, and I was shocked you weren't riding with me here.
They were my sixth favorite bet this week. I do the list I told you, and then my seventh was actually the over on 49.5 in this game. I thought about it. I really did. Like I almost did it. What's funny is I was thinking about while you were talking. I think I just got a little bit emotional, dude. To be very honest with you, I think like my feelings got hurt last week. Do you remember what was the other? Was it against the Browns as well last year that I think that's when I lost the 5-0 week. I want to say last year they didn't cover like was it 7.5 against the Browns? It was some number they did not cover. I just had, dude, I keep getting torched by the Bengals in some of these games where I think they're easily going to win, like I do this week. So I think I got emotional, honestly. That's why they were my sixth favorite bet of the week, though. I did really take a look at them, and I think the over probably hits here too. I'm ripping Travis Etienne over Devontae Adams against Tennessee. I'm starting Travis Etienne in our flex in our league that we're in. Um, this week because I like the odds. I think the Jags on offense look pretty buttoned up, man. But on defense, they were bottom 10 in pressure rate against Bryce Young. If Bryce Young could have just gotten his stuff together a little bit, like I think he would have been able to put up some points on him, right? They were not generating offensive pressures or defensive pressures with their D line, which I don't think will change this week. That is the big weakness of the Bengals, right? So all of a sudden you have Joe Burrow in a situation where he has ample time to get the ball into Chase and Higgins' hands. I'm expecting a really big week from the Bengals. I do think you have the right side. I do think they take it. Um, and I think if the Bengals try to play Travis Hunter on defense and get him really worn down, the Jaguars, to me, it's like, dude, they need, with the way their offense looked, they need Travis Hunter on offense. He needs to just be their slot corner, their designed route guy. That needs to be what he's doing. If he gets worn down playing defense in this game, and then Trevor doesn't get the move the sticks plays that he was relying on him for in week one, I think it'll get ugly fast. So I'm really curious to see how they handle that tricky line they're going to walk. I would just have him play slot corner. You should not have given up multiple first on a whole package for him. You should have either taken him or Ted, whoever fell down at 5. They messed up. It's too late. It seems weird that they would give up all that for just a slot corner. I think that's what they need to do, though.
Well, it was to get butts and seats, man. Jacksonville has low stadium attendance, and they wanted the NFL's Otani. They wanted the NFL's Otani to sell some jerseys. But let me ask you this: if the Bengals drop this one to the Jaguars, like I think that
Done,
absolutely the Bengals should
done,
cover. But yeah, you think they're done already in week
done.
two?
No, like not as a betting, like I'll still bet on them or whatever, and I still want their pieces in fantasy, but they are done with being a serious contender. I will not consider them a serious contender for the rest of the year. No, I don't care what it looks like down the road. I don't care how close they get. Dude, like you remember last year with their slow start, right? And they were trying to figure out and they finally got it going and they missed by like a half a point in the standings. They missed sliding in the wild card. It's like, dude, these games count just as much as week 17 and 18. If you go down 0-2, what is the number? What are the percentages for you getting in? It's very low.
Hmm.
Remember, I forget what the figure is. I want to say it's like below 40%. Your chances of getting in the playoffs at 0-2 in the NFL. Um, no, dude, you can't. You can't. Well, they did win last week. I'm sorry. So they won last week. They
Hmm.
just didn't cover here. I still okay. So no, then I won't say done. I'm sorry. That's overreact. I won't say done there. Don't edit that out. Make me look stupid or let me look stupid in it. It will seriously alter though how I view them as a team, dude. Like this is a team that talks like they're gonna go in with the Bengals. And would you, if they lose to the Jags here, do you think they can go in and beat the Ravens or the Bills? Maybe the Chiefs if they're injured enough at the end of the year, but like, do you think they can go in and beat the Ravens or the Bills?
So this
There's
is my
no way.
nuclear take. I think that because of their quarterback, right, and because of their weapons, they're alive to beat any team at any time. I think they so like in a one
Okay.
game in a playoff scenario, right? I feel like the Bengals could take out anyone. That being said though, like I would not be taking the wrong side of the hook here at 3.5, like unless I thought that they were playing a bad team, because I don't trust the Bengals against the spread, right? I
Yep.
don't trust them in any given situation. I just give them the upside of, oh well, they could always win, right? Even though I don't know, I think there's too many holes in the roster to even be taken like super seriously, but I think they have a puncher's chance if they can end up somehow getting into a wild card slot.
They're like a power puncher. That's exactly what they are. Broncos on the road versus the Colts. Broncos 2.5 came in the year projected as the NFL's number one defense. Left week one with the number one defense in the NFL. I think that defense is as good as it freaking gets, man. And that was without Dre Greenlaw. 53% of the total bets against the spread have gone on the Broncos, and 77% of the dollars bet against the spread have gone on the Broncos. That is a nice, a 24% additional whale lean on the game. But the Broncos are 0-1 against the spread. Awesome. The Colts did manage to not only cover the spread, but beat the brakes off the Dolphins week one. If not for a garbage time touchdown, they likely get the shutout. Please remember, this is only based off one game so far, but in offensive production, the Broncos rank 16th, first in defense, and the Colts are currently third in offense, third in defense. Um, who knows, man? Maybe Danny Dimes really does have a full-blown career resurrection here. I'm actually kind of rooting for it, for the chaos it would cause in the fantasy and NFL community. But I think those two games got counted a little too heavily here for like what we viewed these two teams as coming into the season, right? And what we still roughly think they are. I mean, the Colts. I think the Colts with Steichen have always been a competent football team, like to a degree. I mean, the bottom does fall out if the quarterback gets injured, right? And that's happened a few times. But like when you look at their offensive and defensive pieces, that is not some joke of a roster or a bottom feeder roster at all. And even their offense, like their offense has really solid pieces everywhere. Pittman is not a legitimate one in terms of overall NFL rankings, but a legitimate X receiver, right? You have Downs and Mitchell are legitimate NFL depth pieces, and then Tyler Warren looks to be like as quality of a tight end as there is in the NFL. Is he may be one of the three best? Not yet, but he looks like he certainly could be. Jonathan Taylor may be the best pure runner in the sport, coming off what like 1,700 yards last year. Like the Colts are a legitimate team. I'm not trying to discount that. I think the Broncos are going to make teams look silly from their defense. To me, there are two clear defenses that are in a different league right now, and that is going to be the Broncos and the Packers. Maybe the Eagles are up there too. But with the way the Bills and Ravens looked last week, we'll have to see how they bounce back. I thought the Ravens would be up there too, but maybe not. I don't know. But I know, at least as far as we know, I'm treating the Broncos like they're a bona fide top three defense, and they're not three. So then it comes down to, what do I think the Broncos offense can get done against the Colts defense? I I don't know. I think the Titans are a pretty good D. I don't really want to say that the Titans are like a joke of a defense either. I think they're top half of the league. Again, we'll have to see. We need more data on that. But the Titans are usually a good defense. Um, Knicks looked a little shaky, a little bit, but I think the Broncos floor is like what, the 18th offense, 16th offense, somewhere in there. I think that's enough to get it done in a lot of games when you have the number one defense. I think they get it done here. I think Pittman has a tough time, man. Um, you know, he's going to get the shadow, and Warren is going to get Hafunga and maybe Greenlaw up the middle. It's just tough. That you're asking, that is a very big ask. For the Colts, that D line is the D line for the Broncos. The Colts is weakened O line this year. There's a lot of factors that make me feel very comfy with the Broncos here. You are taking a road favorite in a game where they didn't look great, and the Colts are a lot better than the Titans. I think there's like a degree of risk here, but I'm pretty comfortable with it. You're obviously comfortable enough to parlay it.
Yeah, this is my favorite pick of the week. If
Yeah,
you are the type of bettor that doesn't like to throw in a bunch of wagers, right? Maybe you're like, all right, maybe I want to go like heavy on one game and kind of reduce your variance there. I think this is the game to pick. I love, love, love this side. And if you're gonna notice one like thing that I'm really trying to hammer this week, and I think Yanni is too, it's like these nice buy low opportunities. And you don't want to overreact to week one, but you need to react to it, right? And what I saw, and I guess it's in line with my priors, right, is this Broncos defense is savage. Those guys are so good, right? And you're going up against a Daniel Jones quarterbacked team in the Colts here. I know that the Colts had a surprising week one victory over the Dolphins, but this is also kind of in line with my macro takes on the year so far. I think this Dolphins team is so bad that like it doesn't really tell us much about Daniel Jones. I'd like to see it work out. I think that he's I think Dimes is enough of an adult here that like he'll be able to do what Shane Steichen wants him to do, but like not giving up less than a field goal to the number one defense by far. And you also have Bo Nix coming off the lowest PFF rated game in the entire league for quarterbacks last week. So he played terribly. Make no mistake, Bo Nix was fucking awful against the Titans defense. But I do think that defense, the Titans defense is legit in some way, shape, or form, right? And I don't think Bo Nix in a Sean Payton offense is going to continue to be that bad. Hammer this with full confidence. Yanni's hammering it. I'm hammering it. I know we went 0-2 on our consensus last week, but I love this pick. I think this is a nothing's ever a sure thing in gambling, but this is one of my favorite numbers in 3 years I've been doing this. So bet this one confidently, please. I'm begging.
Okay, risky business for me here. I said last week that I don't like to take parlays unless I go down in the numbers and have to make up some ground. Ted had that legendary run last year of multiple weeks hitting a parlay to dig out of like, what were you in a 6 unit hole? I think it was 674 was the hole,
Yep.
right? Or was it
Yeah, it's like 6, 7
576?
units in the hole, and just
Yeah, dude, and you dug out of that with multiple parlays. I prefer not to take them, but if I'm going to take them, like, or if I'm going to go down, you kind of have to make up ground. You sort of have to take on a little more risk. That's what I'm doing here. Taking the Eagles -1.5, going on the road to the Chiefs. Again, you're taking a road favorite at the Chiefs coming off a loss, like, oh God, and a team that kicked their teeth in the Super Bowl, right? It's going to be about as emotional of a game as you're going to get. I'm betting the under at 46.5. It looks like as of now Worthy's not going, but we're not sure. He looked good at practice. He's out there running routes, but like I don't know. I would be surprised if they risk him to that degree that early, but they may view this game as important enough. They may view not going down 0-2 as important enough. I don't know though. So would I feel better about that under if Worthy doesn't play? Obviously, but I still think even if he plays, I'm taking it. So 73% of the total bets against the spread are on, excuse me, 38% of the total bets against the spread are on the Eagles, but 79% of every dollar bet is going against them. 62% of every dollar, every numerical bet win on the Chiefs, but only 21% of the dollars. Now, Ted brought up an interesting point. There are some big fish in the betting community that seem to believe that this is a hammer for the Chiefs. So just because the whale money or the big money seems to be, that's like a 41% lean in terms of the difference between the number of bets and the dollars bet. That's as big of a lean as we've ever seen since we've been doing the show. But there are a contingent of people out there who believe that it should be the opposite. And the Eagles failed to cover the spread week one, but so did the Chiefs. So offensive ranking for the Eagles, 19th, defensive ranking 15th versus the Chiefs with an offensive rank of 10, defensive rank of 27. Again, more a reflection of just one game. And then the under record, the Eagles game hit the under last week. The Chiefs game did not. So, the under is sort of risky here. I felt like 46.5 was a little bit too big of a number for two teams that I thought probably are a lot. It's certainly the Chiefs, I think, look a lot better on defense than they do on offense. Without Worthy, I think it's a pop gun offense. Like I'm rolling Butker in a bunch of leagues this week. I was tempted to switch off of him with the Worthy injury, but I think we're going to see a lot of drives where the Chiefs put together 15 plays, eat up 9 to 11 minutes of clock to kick a field goal. I think that's going to happen like more than once in this game. And then with the Eagles, dude, that was against the Denver Broncos, against the Dallas Cowboys, right? The Dallas Cowboys came into the season projected to have a bottom quarter of the league defense, and like no Micah Parsons, right? He was gone. Their defense was bottom 3 in the league last year without Micah Parsons, and the Eagles only mustered up like a very measly showing of a lot of the same thing: little pop gun 5-yard passes, Jalen holding the ball for 6 seconds and checking it down to Dallas Goedert. I don't know. I just, and then also, what did Saquon? I believe Saquon was either under or right around 3 yards a carry in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs did manage to stuff Saquon pretty well. The Chiefs are one of the best defenses against the run in the sport. I think Spagnuolo is going to know how to handle a mobile quarterback like Jalen Hurts. They didn't in the Super Bowl. I understand this was in the Super Bowl. I also think the Super Bowl was a team that really had no business being there. It was a no Rice, not fully developed Worthy with the Chiefs. And I think that's sort of happening again here a little bit. As far as the offensive side, that's what I'm thinking. The defensive matchup with the Chiefs versus the Eagles, I think I don't know, dude. That was like one of the great showings I've ever seen in the history of the sport from Jalen Hurts, and that was also with a different offensive coordinator. I don't foresee that happening again. I do think the Eagles move the ball through the air. I think AJ Brown and Devonta Smith have a big week. That I think is going to happen either way. Is it a big enough week for them to clear the 46 and a half point over? I don't think so. I think there's going to be a lot of long drives, a lot of high play drives. And I think ultimately the Eagles are just a better roster. They're such a better roster. They're good enough to cover -1.5 without Worthy, without Rice on the Chiefs. And Travis Kelce looks bad too, by the way. Um, or what are they going to do? Are they going to run the ball a lot against them? Are they going to, is Hollywood Brown going to get 12 more targets? Is Thornton Jr., the rookie, going to pop off for 150 yards? I don't see it. I don't see where the Chiefs come up with offense in this game. And even the Eagles, like for all we know, their offense might take another hit, just like it did a couple of years ago when they lost to Stud OC. So there was just enough there that this is where I'm willing to try to dig myself out of my holes on this parlay.
Yeah, I think by all accounts, right, what these rosters are, like if you just take the rosters and you look at them side by side, to me this is not close and this is aggressively mispriced. The having the Eagles only be 1.5 point favorites, right? But again, this is very similar to us picking against Buffalo last week, right? You have the Patrick Mahomes factor. Patrick Mahomes as an underdog, like the trends aggressively suggest that you take Patrick Mahomes as an underdog. In 13 career games since 2018 when he came into the league, he's only been an underdog 13 times in his career. He's won one. I'm sorry, he's 11-1-1 against the spread, and I think he's 11. No, he's 10-3 outright, just winning those games. So this is like if you're a trend better, if you're someone who just kind of takes data points and rolls with them, that's why you see some people that are so aggressively on Kansas City here because you're betting Mahomes as an underdog, right? Which historically has been a cash cow for you. I've cashed out multiple Super Bowls when the Chiefs have been underdogs against the Eagles. The first time they played, me and my dad. That was like when we first started the show, and we went to go watch the Super Bowl in at his house in Arizona. And I thought it would be a fun idea to go to the casino. I think we both put like $500 on the Chiefs money line. Let me tell you, boys, that was so fun. When you're walking out of like the casino, like with a wad full of cash like that, it feels pretty fucking good. So I
Oh
love the
yeah.
Chiefs underdog typically, but man, like by all accounts here, I think the Eagles cover this number pretty easily. Again, you run the risk of getting Mahomes, but that's what I think that you just have to do that if you're going to bet against the Chiefs, right? And I guess to your point about the under, I'm not as nearly as concerned about the Eagles offense. I think that they're going to take it to them in the air here, especially given the fact that AJ Brown had one target last week, right? I think that this is like a squeaky wheel game for him. Do you remember 2 years ago when like I think Devonte Smith like had 10 targets or something? He only had three, and like he was yelling at Jalen on the sidelines
Yeah.
against the Vikings. And then he just went off. I
Yeah.
think this is going to be one of those games. This is a secondary. I know the Chiefs' defense historically has been pretty good, but they just got absolutely destroyed by QJ and Justin Herbert and the Chargers. If I definitely prefer the Eagles 1.5 here. I don't know if I like the under just because let's say the Eagles go up early, right? Let's say the Eagles are just steamrolling them. Like I'm not counting out Patrick Mahomes garbage time touchdowns, right? Like and it could get you
Yeah.
could just get like a weird last second like over and get screwed. But I like the reasoning behind the pick and Nick Sirianni team. I like my Eagles. All right, last one of the week. This one's mine. We got the Jim Harbaugh Pete Carroll Bowl. The two just head coaches that cannot fucking stand each other. This week in the media, Pete Carroll, he got asked a question about Jim Harbaugh, and he said, "Yeah, I don't have a lot of fond memories of that guy." So I love that they put this like in the primetime Monday night slot. I'm gonna be stoked to watch this game. I'm taking the Chargers -3 here. We have 57% of the bets against the spread. On the Chargers and only 48% of the dollars here. So some of the big fish are betting on the Raiders here, and honestly, I'll be fully transparent. I get why they do that. I like what I'm seeing from this Raiders team here. Um, the Chargers won last week, so by default they're 1-0 against the spread. They have the fourth ranked offense and the 22nd ranked defense. And on the Raiders side, they are currently ranked sixth in offense right now and 21st in defense. So I think we should lead with the fact that Brock Bowers looks like he's on the wrong side of questionable for this game. So the Raiders are already probably coming into this one without their best offensive weapon. I mean, it's probably Bowers right now. Genty is probably 2B, right? Or 1A, 1B. Like Genty's probably the 1B side of that. So they'll still have him out there. But this Chargers defense, man, I get that they're ranked 22nd right now, but they just played Patrick Mahomes, and Mahomes is in a negative game script the entire time and threw like 45 times. Guess what? You're going to give up yards to Patrick Mahomes when he's throwing 45 times. That just happens, right? But I'm still confident in this Chargers defense to be competent here. You have the Raiders that are missing their 1A guy in Bowers, and it. I felt like 3 was a decent number. Full disclosure, out of the entire slate, this is the one that I liked the last. It was my last game. It was either this one or the Browns plus 11 and a half, and I couldn't stomach the Browns. I went with this. But I think this Chargers team is legit, man. I like what we saw with the more pass happy offense from Herbert. I think that this offense is going to be legitimate. And I think the Raiders defense isn't that great, right? Like they had a decent week against the Patriots in a win, but I wouldn't call this a great unit, right? You have Max Crosby and just a bunch of Jags out there. So I felt like 3 was a good enough number. I think the Chargers take it. If they only win by a field goal, right? This thing goes into overtime and the Chargers win. I could still get a push. At 3.5, I would probably be out on this, but 3 seemed like a good enough number to me, so I took it. But Raiders fans, I would be excited if I were you. I think this is the best iteration your team has seen since like the early 2000s. What do you think, Yanni? Do you think I stepped in it here?
Well, I like it because I took this one with you.
Oh, it's consensus.
Um,
That's right.
yeah, it's consensus on this one. So yes, I like it. I agree. I like that you're getting a little bit of safety with the push. Now, would I have included -3 in a three-leg parlay? No, because if it pushes and then pushes the parlay, you're going to be kicking yourself because you missed out on. If you get 2 right and then blow it on a push, that's a bummer. Like you don't lose the money, obviously, but you did lose a shot at 2 games worth of payoff. I would have maybe not done that. But I think it's the right call. I think the people are overreacting to the Raiders a little bit. I think this game maybe would have been more like 4.5 or 5.5 if the Raiders didn't just come out and look solid against the Patriots. Um, but yeah, the Chargers' rush defense is pretty good. I don't know how much room Genty's going to have out there, and if they don't have Bowers to fall back on, like that's just it's a tall order, man. It's a tall order without Bowers, even though they're at home, and even though I actually think the Raiders' offense looks really competent to me. Like the Raiders in general actually looked like a competent operation, buttoned up, doing well. Um, yeah, and then I'm also really curious because I have personal stakes in it. What does the Chargers rushing attack look like when they're not going against the most efficient rushing defense in football? I think they're going to be able to find some room and run on them a little bit here. So yeah, safe bet.
All right, guys. And I think that's going to do it for us. If you made it through the whole video, thank you. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell. It helps the channel out. Question of the day for the audience. Who do you got here in the Jim Harbaugh Pete Carroll Bowl 2.0? I know that we have like a lot of friends that are Raider fans that watch the program, right? We're Bay Area guys, so you had them. You got a lot of Oakland Raiders fans in the Free Tendies fantasy community, but let us know what you think of this one because I'm actually really interested. This is like the most excited I've been for a Raiders game in years, dude. Like I'm actually they're like the 49ers like mentally disabled little brother that like now I just kind of root for. It's like the same thing with the A's too, right? I grew up a San Francisco fan and I used to hate the Raiders and the A's, but now I like them. I hope both of those franchises do well.
Dude, plus my God, how fun are the Raiders? The Raiders offensive. Come on, they have a really fun offense this year. I love all their players. Actually, I'm rooting for them. Hope they do well.
All right, and we'll catch you guys next week for the free agent episode.